Hey everyone, welcome back to the Jacob Wright podcast. If you're new here, I want to reintroduce myself. I've been gaining a few listeners, and some of you may not know exactly who I am or why I'm blabbering. If you're new here, welcome. The goal of this podcast is to talk about what I'm doing real time. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a former founder of a mobile veterinary company, started a mobile vet company, grew it, scaled it, and then left it. And now I'm starting a new venture, and we'll probably be starting other ventures too in the future, and want to start building a place that I can share updates, ideas, learnings, findings in real time. That's something I learned from my first venture, is that it's so important to be able to interact on social media or through various channels with other people, not necessarily customers. We always talk about getting customer buy-in, getting customer feedback as soon as possible. And I still know that that is critical, but also just being able to have a conversation or interface with just people, an audience or other folks to get their ideas on it is extremely important. And that's something I didn't do in my first venture. So that is the purpose of this channel. I have two episode types. I have conversations with people that I find interesting, that I want to interview, that I want to learn from. I usually ask them a lot of questions, and then I post it here. I also have these episodes, which are monologues, updates, ideas, opinions that I share, and they're here for you to digest on your own. On today's docket, we have a few items to discuss. First is the Uncanny Valley, what it is, where we are, and why I want to talk about it. Then we're going to go on to my thoughts on insurance. I'm going to pitch you on some of the things that I'm building now, and then talk about my life moving updates and a message to young founders or entrepreneurs. Sneak peek next week, we have some guests coming on in the next couple episodes that are exciting, interesting conversations. So stay tuned for those. First on the docket, we're going to be talking about the Uncanny Valley, what it is, where we are, why it matters, what it means. To define the Uncanny Valley is a term that was created by Masahiro Mori, a Japanese roboticist in the 1970s. And he observed that as robots became more lifelike, human-like, humans became more uncomfortable with that robot. And he mapped this graph that showed basically human connection or acceptance on the, I believe it was the y-axis, and then the humanoid on the x-axis. And when you start, you see the trend line go up, and that people are okay. And then there's a massive dip. And that dip is where things like zombies are, or robots, humanoid robots that are autonomous, etc. And this observation was that as robots, as technology get closer and closer to being human-like, people, consumers, at a certain point reject it and get freaked out. The reason I'm talking about this is because we are in the Uncanny Valley right now. And we're seeing that as AI is getting smarter, as AI is getting put into robotics and AI are becoming more lifelike. This idea got brought up to me because one of our pilots, which I'll talk about the product here in a second, but one of our pilots came to me and said, "Hey, I would like to see a face." And I was taken aback by that. I was going, "You actually want to see a face for the product that you're using from us?" And this person said, "Yes, I want to see a face. I want to be able to interact. I wanted to feel like this." And I was shocked because I was under the impression that that would be too scary. That would be in the valley. But I'm just curious. I mean, as we're flying down this AI road, as we get to AI consultants and AI psychiatrists and AI therapists, those are going to become more and more emotional feeling, more and more lifelike. And maybe we will cross the Uncanny Valley, but only time will tell. I did find it very telling, though, that one of these initial pilots that we're interacting with wanted to see a face. And so we're building a face. Moving on, I had a conversation this week with some family, and we were talking about prices of healthcare. We were talking about the price of veterinary care versus human healthcare. And one thing that this a family member said was, well, it's just outrageous when I go to the vet how expensive it is. And something that I had to clarify on was that in human healthcare, we have insurance. And we all know that insurance is confusing, complicated, hyper inflates and manipulates pricing. It has a lot of serious detriments on getting people care in the human space, but people have the illusion that insurance makes things more affordable. And I'm not sold on that. The reason is this. My position on human healthcare insurance is, imagine a world where you don't have insurance. There's no such thing as insurance. That would mean that all healthcare services, procedures that you get are cash based. You would have, just like veterinary care right now, for the majority. In the US, side note here, roughly 5% of pet owners have an insurance policy for their pet. But imagine we take away insurance for human healthcare. That would make all of healthcare cash based, meaning when you need something, you have to pay money out of your pocket. What I believe that would do to healthcare as a whole is give appropriate supply and demand balance, and therefore remove any artificial inflation of pricing by providers in order to get the insurance payout, which ultimately raises a premium and ultimately raises copays, etc. That creates the insurance industry that we have. Not the first person to talk about this, but that was just my opinion on it. Still learning the whole insurance game, as many of us are. And so maybe I'm wrong on this. Would love to hear some of your feedback there. Well, time to finally give you some insight and pitch into what I am working on now. It's official. The company that I am building now with a wonderful co-founder who I'll introduce shortly on this show is called WorqAgent. And we are building an AI employee management platform starting with healthcare. We are developing employees that work inside of healthcare businesses. We're going to specifically be starting inside of veterinary care because that's where I just came from. That's where I lived this pain. I was doing all of these roles thinking, how can I get rid of this pain for myself? And couldn't find a solution. These AI employees operate autonomously within the business, working in the business, how you want, when you want, where you want, doing work exactly how you would have it performed. The goal of this company is not human replacement. It is reallocation. One thing that I found in veterinary care and healthcare in general, I've talked about this before, is that everybody in a healthcare business should be revenue driving or care providing in terms of the people assets that are in that business. When I was an operator of a veterinary company, something that was so painful to me was that I could work day and night, 18 hours a day, doesn't matter, 7 days a week. And at the end of the day, I could never bring in a new patient, bring in revenue to the business. I could do marketing, I could do finance, do projections, do inventory, all of these things, save money here. But at the end of the day, I was only a cost center on the P&L. And I thought to myself, well, how can I get everyone that is bringing in revenue to be the core of this business and have administration take care of itself because it's just a cost center? And that's where the idea sprouted from. Be giving demos here and on the rest of my channels for you to watch and give feedback on. We have some pilots that are already testing, but it's very exciting. And we'll see how the future of businesses work when they hire AI employees to work alongside their human counterparts. Life update here. Moving on here, we have that I'm officially moving. My wife and I are officially moving to the Bay Area this week. The goal is next week to have actually in a few weeks, have the first episode in the Bay Area. But to be honest, I'm nervous. I'm excited. We've been up there touring. My wife's headquarters for her work is up there, but we are going to be making that move this week and jumping into the next chapter of our career and our lives. If you've known me for a while, you would never think that I would end up in the Bay Area. Neither did I. But I'm excited, and I'll be telling you all about it as we go. And finally, closing thoughts here. My brother, this last weekend, my younger brother, graduated from undergrad, which was concerning, obviously, because that just put in perspective how fast time is moving and how old I am now. But one message that was being discussed during the closing ceremonies of the graduation was about people going out and creating the world they want to live in and following their dreams. No, a lot of that to a lot of people sounds hypey, sounds fluffy, but I would just share with people, especially people that are thinking about being entrepreneurs or starting a business, or it doesn't have to be a business, changing something about your life, whether it's where you live or what you do for work or what do you want to learn. I would just echo that. And I would say that is all I've done, my career. And on the other side, I can say you always make it scarier in your mind than it actually is. And that you must take the jump because no one's going to take it for you. So that's my message to you this week. Stay tuned for next week. We have some guests coming in. I'm very excited to share these episodes with you, and then also updates about moving to the one and only Silicon Valley. Thanks for listening to this episode of Till Next Time.